Welcome to The Hot Seat, powered by Affordable Staff. David Judge here, and we're at Season 1, Episode 3 of The Hot Seat, where we talk to industry influencers that have worked hands-on in the real estate industry. We find out where these influencers see current and future trends, and what you can do about it to support and grow your business into the future. There are 9 episodes in the first season, and each episode is released every second Tuesday guaranteed. Now, in this episode, we're interviewing Sarah Martin from Melbourne Property Management, who actually entered it into the industry while she was still at high school and then transitioned from high school full-time once she left. Now, Sarah is considered to be an industry innovator in the industry. And a couple of the points, just a few of the points that we discussed in this interview include things like technology in relation to server versus cloud-based programs and whether agencies are being left behind, how Sarah differentiates her business in the marketplace and the importance of being readily available to landlords through technology. We're talking 24/7, and how they use video content to engage clients, how they handle reviews, how they run surveys, and so much more. Now, one important point to mention before we jump into this episode. None of the businesses we've interviewed are sponsors of The Hot Seat, and all industry influencers and businesses they represent have given their time to be on the show. Okay, this is a great episode, so let's get into it and roll it. Hello and welcome. This is David, and we're here from The Hot Seat, and we're here talking with Sarah today from Melbourne PM. How are you going, Sarah?
I'm really good. How are you?
Good. And we have to remember Damien as well. How are you going, Damien?
Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so the purpose of today is really to get an understanding of your thought around the industry,
Sure.
around the real estate and property management industry, and get a bit of an idea of where you've come from in the industry, where you see the industry going, all that sort of stuff, and valuable insights for you, because I understand you're talking at LP
MANZ.
Yes, coming up. So first of all, tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank
Yes,
you.
congratulations, and tell us a bit about yourself. How long have you been in the industry, and how did you come into it?
Yes. So I fell in it, like most other property managers would say.
Yes.
I started working when we had about 200 properties under management, and I was in year 10. So I started doing all the filing and all of that sort of thing back then. I did that part-time for 3 years, and then I started full-time 6 years ago in the same company.
What did you want to do?
Yeah, I wanted to be a police officer.
You're going to be a police officer? Is it
Still
sort
want to be a police officer?
Or a lawyer, or
Yes.
something like that. Definitely not a property manager.
This property manager is a little bit of police, a little bit of lawyer.
I know it is. It's everything.
Yeah. And so that's why you got into the industry. And it's funny because, talking to a lot of people, they do say that, and they do say that they fall into it. What would you say would be, over the years you've been in the industry, some of the more interesting experiences you've had?
Well, yes, yeah.
I had the same reaction. I've got to say, I had the same reaction.
There's so many interesting things that happen in property management, as I'm sure everyone would agree with.
Yes.
I wouldn't know where to start.
Just pick one.
Just pick
We're talking to Malcolm, and he said unfortunately he was always getting sent out to where people had been where people had passed away.
Oh no!
Yeah,
okay.
so he was seeing that sort of stuff all the time. They kept calling him because he seemed to be the person to have to deal with that.
Oh no! Yeah. Well, we deal with a lot of apartments, so we
Yes.
have a lot of common sort of area faults and issues that we are constantly dealing with. A lot of interesting noise complaints. From wall to walls. That's
Density,
probably
population,
one of our most uncomfortable things that we have to deal
Yes.
with.
Yep.
But
Yeah, let's just leave it at that. I think that's enough. So in the industry, where do you see within Melbourne? Where do you see the industry going at the moment?
Yeah. So I think that technology is coming and taking over the industry. There's so many more platforms around that there were,
Yes.
even a year ago, 2 years ago. And I think that it's really important that everyone gets on board with that and doesn't hide from the change that's coming and that's here.
Because console was the big market player in the market. When was that? How long ago was that?
I reckon 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was still...
We've just come from console.
Oh, really?
Yes, we've just changed.
Yes. And who are you with now?
Property Me.
Okay, good move. Happy
Great
with it?
move.
Yes.
Never go back.
And I know that we saw console at a conference a year or so ago, and they were trying to catch up. But I think it just goes to show, like anyone in the market, in the industry, you look at Windows. Windows was really, really popular and the dominant force for years, and then Apple. We use Apple only just because. And you look at iPhones, were like the number one, and then you have Android, and everybody's going out and using so many different things. why, just as your opinion, why do you think console got left behind?
They didn't go cloud. They stayed on server. When they did decide to finally go cloud, they weren't able to help us because we've got 1,200 properties.
Yes.
And they advised that they were only able to help agencies with maybe under 500 to go cloud. And unfortunately, that just wasn't good enough for us. We needed cloud, and we needed cloud now.
And how do you think that translates across to the industry itself? Do you see that people are changing fast enough and adapting with that sort of technology?
No. I feel like there's so much that people can take on and make the most of. I feel like perhaps maybe real estate agents are a little bit in the past with the programs that they do use, and I just would love to encourage everyone to see what's out there.
But brings me, I suppose, the next question is like, so in the Melbourne marketplace, how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors?
It's really tough. There's so many agencies in Melbourne, and there's so many fantastic agencies as well. So the core differences of we deliver a more personalised service, and we have a communication guarantee. It's just not good enough anymore. Yes. So you really need to be able to show them just what you're doing.
So demonstrate.
Well, pretty much, yes. Yeah. And going above and beyond with that. So preventative maintenance. Full in-depth, on-demand software that you can give your landlords, so online portals for your tenants and your landlords, and being able to be available to them more than just 8:30 till 5, and having your website set up with questions that they can ask. They feel like they can get answers after 5 o'clock, and I think that's really important because if I had an investment property, I wouldn't have time to even think about it until after at least 6:30, and then your property manager.
So as an employer, do you see the hours that property managers work? Does it kind of become more of a nighttime? Offices don't close till 7, 8 o'clock at night.
It's not a 9 till 5 job, and I do believe in work-life balance, and I think it's really important for the team to be able to leave early.
Yes.
So I think that having things available to the landlords to be able to service them when their property manager's not there is really important. So we've got an online portal so that if they do need a statement or they go, I just can't remember what that was, they can jump on and have a look at that, and they don't have to call the office, leave a message, and then wait for us to get back to them the next day.
Okay, so they can access more.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really the direction the world's going, isn't it?
It
Being
is.
able to have information at your fingertips.
Yeah. If I book a hair appointment, I want to do it online. I don't want to call anyone.
Yes. And that's the generation. I mean, but I'm a technology-based person as well, and I'm exactly the same way. If I want to book a haircut, I want to send a text message, and I want to be able to receive the times automatically and choose it and have it all done.
Yeah, and then I want it to sync to my calendar, and then I want it to remind me 12 hours before.
And I still go to the same guy I went to. When my mum told me, I just walk in. So
social media, how important do you think social media is?
Yeah, so I feel like social media had a massive boom, and it's still really important. I think that video advertising as well, the way the Facebook algorithm is, that they push your videos further. Yes. So I think that getting on board with that is really important, and I know it can be really daunting getting in front of a camera and showing an open for inspection, or doing we've got Theatre Thursday, so we do questions. Theatre Thursdays, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. So we get a video, we put it on Facebook, and we actually got the red booklet, which is the CAV book, and we started at the start, and we did videos on each sort of thing. So how do you view a property? How do you what do you do when you get to the property, and just all of that sort of thing.
Fantastic.
So I feel like that's pretty important. It's also personal, so it's not professional or anything, but it sort of looks to our viewers that we're real people, and we're pretty funny, and we're pretty cool.
And we asked this question beforehand. Do you add any of your clients on Facebook as friends?
I have 2 Facebook accounts.
Yes.
And on my my professional one I would, but not on my personal one, no.
Why
but
is
you
that?
guys are my friends.
Yeah, that's right. We're friends.
Why?
Yeah.
I just think that it should be kept separate.
Yes.
Definitely kept separate. I mean, the photos on my Facebook from when I was in year 10, no one wants to see that.
No, and they wouldn't understand, it's just it was the time you're going through.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
And disruptors. So we spoke a little bit about technology.
Yeah.
What other disruptors would you say?
I suppose you've got Airbnb and that kind of thing that obviously is a disruptor in the industry. I think that it's really important to sort of grasp the disruptors and turn them around into how we can we can benefit from them instead of just thinking that they're, a pain. Airbnb, and we've got cladding issues. Most of our buildings have cladding, and they're flammable. So that's been a real issue for us at the moment. Yeah,
definitely.
And just things like that, especially because everyone has a phone at the moment. They can Google their rights and, all for tenant rights and that sort of thing. But they can literally Google how to get out of things. They can literally Google, if I don't pay my rent until the 15th day, then I can just pay it the next day. They've just got everything at the tip of their fingers, and they all of a sudden are saying, but in the Act it says this, this and this. And it wasn't like that before.
Yeah.
So in the next couple of years, what do you see the biggest changes for our industry?
Yeah.
Where do you see, and I'm going to say, if I talk more specifically the Victorian market, because I actually think it's a different market to some of the others around Australia.
It is.
What are you seeing as the big changes that are going to grip, I suppose, the Victorian market?
Unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of issues with loss of managements for fees. I see a lot of agencies offering 4.4% managements, the first 6 months free.
The race to the bottom.
Yeah, and I feel like coming from an agency that, we pride ourselves on a lot of aspects, we do charge, we don't charge 5.5, we charge more than that.
Yes.
And I won't lower my fees because the agent down the road is going to give you 4.4%. And I just think that if, our fellow people in the industry are going to do that, I think it's going to disrupt a lot with businesses and small businesses, because unfortunately landlords will look for the cheaper fees if they need to do that. So
we've been in business for 11 years now, and one of the things that I've always found to be in business is we've had a number of clients who have come to us, and we were running an online marketing business, so SEO, and they would come to us with an email they had from somebody in India, and they'd say, we can get the same thing that you're doing for us for about a quarter of the price.
Yeah.
And I must admit, we never try to compete, because we just knew that, the race to the bottom, eventually it's going to impact your profit margins, to the level where you're wondering even why you're doing it anymore. What we did find is, as the industry continued to develop and change, that we had a lot of those customers come back to us, because they'd go and they'd see, for example,
and they
low percentage fees on property managements. Yeah. How can you sustain that? How can you offer that service?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the other things that we're noticing with clients are reviews.
Yes.
How's that going for you?
So reviews are they can be fantastic. They are fantastic, but they can also be difficult. You'll often find that you took $100 out of a bond because the landlord's told you to, and all of a sudden the tenants are on there with reviews. So we actually implemented NPS. So we send our NPS surveys out on a regular basis.
What's NPS?
NPS is your net performer score. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend affordable staff to your friends and family? And we found that a lot of negative reviews ended up if they had an issue, they put it on the NPS and they'd give you a 0. Yes. And that would allow us to call them privately, fix the issue, and then turn it around into a good awesome. A good thing. So that is how we dealt with some negative reviews that we were getting, which everyone's going to get. And
you're the middle person.
Exactly. Yeah, but unfortunately then people don't understand that, but it's up to us to try and educate them with that.
Yes.
But Google reviews are fantastic because it pushes your things up on Facebook. They're great. They're really, really good.
And a lot of people don't understand with Google reviews, because I was talking to a client the other day and I was showing them they had a couple of positive reviews. I said, what if we get a negative review? I said, well, that's the opportunity for you to continue to work with them, work with the client, etc. And they actually wanted to deactivate their Google My Business listing. But what they don't realise is if you deactivate it, it gets reactivated and it waits for someone to verify it, and all those reviews still continue
back. Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah.
So it's like Airbnb, like you're talking about beforehand, using it as an opportunity to turn it around and look for how it is you can get it to work for you, as opposed to try and get it to to try and squash it. There are some countries I found out last night. I was at a city council in Brisbane, and one of the council members was telling me in some countries they're banning Airbnb, and they're fining you for up to 1 year in jail. Yeah. If you're found renting out your property or an Airbnb. A lot of the concerns were around things like insurances and the noise pollution and all that sort of stuff. Do you think there's a place for property managers and Airbnb?
I know there is some agencies doing it. When I was at my last conference, I did hear that some agencies had harnessed it and was managing properties for Airbnb for their clients, which I think is really great. It's just if you've got the means to do it. So obviously, you know, you have to clean the sheets and all of that sort of thing. So it's obviously going to be a higher fee. But I know there's also some legal restrictions around it in certain states.
Yes.
So, I think it was Queensland or Perth that were doing it, the person I was talking to.
Yeah, I know that I've used both options as a service. I mean, here we're staying in service apartments that we rented through through the actual place itself, and we've used Airbnb beforehand, and they the guy himself said, look, I've actually transitioned across to just doing this all the time because I'm finding that it's easier for me, etc., etc. But it needs to obviously work for the agency.
It does, yeah.
So no, you go. What are you going to say?
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
So, what do you have going on now? What would you like to share with us about what you're doing at the moment? You've got you're talking overseas soon. What else have you got coming up?
We've just won the Innovation Award at LPMA, which is really exciting. Yeah, so we are continuing on with our new programs and things that we are implementing.
Yes.
So we've just gone on to all electronic lease agreements and all of that sort of thing, which is great. We've obviously got our second VA, Crystal.
Yes.
That's just started in maintenance, which is going really well. We've also been doing 360-degree virtual tours, which I think is going to be the next thing that every agent's going to have to do, because it's just so hard to see properties these days.
It offers more service to clients.
It does, yeah, exactly. The landlords love it. Like they can't make the final, or they, you're interstate. You send them the link, and they feel like they've been there, which is great. So that's probably just continuing on with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really good to hear innovators in the industry like yourself, and to see you look so happy.
I get so excited about it. So excited. My team are like, oh, but no, I love it. Love it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate you taking the time.
You.
And look forward to catching up with you again next time we're in Melbourne.
Yes. Great.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And we'll talk to everybody who's coming to watch us on the hot seat next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the episode with Sarah. And before you go, I'd like to ask if you enjoyed this episode that you subscribe to our podcast, which you can find if you search for the hot seat wherever you listen to your podcasts, and leave us a review as they really count. I also want to remind you that the hot seat is powered by affordable staff, and if I'm 100% honest, we could not put the hot seat together without outsourcing every component. We literally record our footage and our audio, and we send it to our Philippines office, and they do the rest. They also built the website, they do all the marketing, and they do everything else around the hot seat. So I want to say a special thank you to our team, especially Ira. Okay, great. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Hot Seat.